Please state your name for the viewers.
Bart Cutino,
And how old are you?
42 now.
I remember when I was 42.
Yeah, I remember when I was 41.
I remember when I was 40 something. State where you're from?
Monterey, California.
Monterey, California. And what is your primary geographic research area?
You know, I can't pinpoint one. It's actually two. So, Central Sierras, California, and also the Northwest coast here in Northern California.
I've got a few questions to ask you.
Yeah.
I'll burn right through them. Why did you become actively involved in Bigfoot research?
You know, that's a good question. At the about 6 years old, for some reason, I had this huge interest. My brother had a passive interest. I think there was some books lying around, and I picked them up. I was just fascinated, And those were initially you're just reading about sighting reports, that type of thing.
Yeah.
And over the years, it was always an inherent passion in me. And sometimes we get those invisible chains in life, and it took till about 30 years old till I finally, why didn't I come here in Northern California, at a much younger age, And so I'm grateful I did. It's been over a dozen years now, and I love it. Free time, any chance I get,
Regarding your research, what is your area of expertise?
It's funny. I would say there's no experts in this field. We all have a lot to learn, but I would say, if anything, it might be thermal imaging as far as the actual use, the technology, and being able to discriminate what you see from a thermal. And that's just from years and years of being able to use them. I'm fortunate enough that 2006 is really when we started. Good friend Wally Hersom had brought some units into the BFRO, and so automatically I'm a creature of the night, so automatically that was right down my alley, and have had some success with them. I wouldn't know these animals were real without it. So
yeah, you had there's two situations where you had caught them on film.
Yeah, two different situations. But not on film, but actually the first one I saw, southeast of Mount Rainier, Washington, the Northern Cascades, and I watched that subject for about 3 minutes, and it was one of the most. I mean, it was so definitive. It was absolutely mind blowing. So. But we weren't able to record it back then. It wasn't so much a lack of preparation. It was, cumbersome technology. Back in 2007, we didn't have the ability. Now, you press a button, it's right on an SD card, it's done. But we had that opportunity again, in 2012. I didn't know if I'd ever get an opportunity again. And that's where we got the Sierra's thermal footage, as you're versed in.
Remember that.
Yeah.
And refresh my memory on this one. The old days, when we had the thermal set up to a separate recording system, how hard was that to hook it all up just to take a picture and get it recorded?
God, those were the days, the different stages we went through, and especially Cliff Barrickman, who's a great friend. I mean, and he had thermals pretty early, but yeah, to record on those original X200 units. You basically had to hold a backpack with a marine battery in it, right? And then you had all the plug-ins and the proprietary cord, which was, they did a terrible job manufacturing. And then you had the eye viewers, which I couldn't stand. And you'd literally have to walk somebody like a 90-year-old woman, to be able to negotiate, a path or any part of the forest. So it was really tough at first. A lot easier now.
Oh yeah, definitely. I remember being a guinea pig for the first model up towards Crescent City, if you remember that.
Oh yeah.
Chest plate,
absolutely.
helmet, small kid-size helmet, thermal attached to it, and I remember Wally almost fell off the hill when he was.
I'll never forget that.
Yeah, that's crazy. All right. Regarding your research, what is your area of expertise?
I think we answered that.
Okay. Good.
Go on the next one.
Yeah. All right.
We did that question.
Yeah. I do so many questions, I keep forgetting which ones.
Right.
Spank me. I'll work on it. All right. What is your most significant contributions to the field of Bigfoot research?
Oh man, it's not that there's a million. It's just when you consider all the failures and the learning process over the years. But I would say there's 2 to 3. Definitely the tree destruction video, which we were able to get on the North Coast, and that's in the context of exchange happening, vocal exchange happening. And, if you, couple that with the recording out 60 days earlier with James Bobo Fay,
Yeah.
finding Bigfoot, there was identical knocks in the same vicinity, and as we went out, and that was awesome, because that tree destruction, it was a progressive behavior. It sounded like 9 gunshots going off on the
Right.
hill, as you remember.
Oh, I remember
Yeah.
that.
And then I would say, a lot happened in a 1.5 year period. I would say, along with Tyler Huggins from Canada, a good friend of mine, and also Justin Smea, who was the purported shooter in the Sierra Kills situation. We sought independent testing regarding the, I would say, highly circumstantial tissue
Right.
that was collected from the purported event, and then having it independently tested, confirmed, and then exposing Melba Ketchum, who I felt her study was an absolute sham. I feel she's the antithesis of what science is. You have a hypothesis. She tried to make the evidence fit that hypothesis, and then completely disallow any opportunity whatsoever for replication. So, like I said, it's the opposite of science. And then I would say that the Sierra's thermal footage, which, the footage is not, it's not great. I give it a C minus, but the investigation was A plus. Thanks to yourself and other people we brought forward in doing that. The investigation really backs up the footage. Me and myself and 5 other guys experienced that night, and from a mathematical perspective, and there's really nothing else it can be. Essentially, is what it is, and we kind of rolled that out together during our lengthy investigation. So,
and what I like about the significance of that whole research with that is you're trying to set the precedence for research.
Yeah, I really felt like we had an opportunity there, because it's not as I said, it's not the greatest footage that's out there, but it was an opportunity to kind of walk the walk and give the field an example. And I looked at it more as a forward-thinking, thing. Someone's going to come along and they're going to get better footage.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're going to have to follow in those steps of what we did with the footage. So I couldn't have done it without the dozen or so folks that helped me, especially you. And we did it, in a mini peer review format. And, we tried to do it the right way. And, it's all about documentation, analysis reports, recreating the whole process. We're able to capture all of that. And I'm very, very proud of that. But I could not have done it alone.
What is your favorite aspect of Bigfoot research?
I would say, I mean, I'm a researcher by heart, but I would say it's going back to that, trying to up the standard of investigation, and trying to set some of those precedents in research, because as an amateur field, and there's you talk about just a ridiculous historical evidence record, litany of hoaxing, that there's great opportunity there. There's a lot of younger people that will follow even in our footsteps.
Right.
And it's everyone kind of blames science as if science, mainstream science, is supposed to lower the standard. I would contend you have to raise the standard based on what the claim is, and it's our burden as researchers, to go out and walk the walk and do that, and perform and document and have scientific principles. So, yeah.
With that said, what is your least favorite subject of Bigfoot research?
I think it's the guilt by association of subject with, the subject draws a lot of people that, they make a lot of definitive statements and don't substantiate their claims. And that's really my biggest contention. And it goes back to, we're trying to raise the bar and appropriately document, but it is very difficult at times, because, there's just a lot of unproven paranormal claims. It's kind of putting the cart before the horse, and but there's also a lot of great people in the field as well. So,
all right, this might be a tough one, but name up to 3 researchers who have been a positive influence for you.
3 researchers. God, I've been with so many great people in the last dozen plus years. I mean, I can give you, a list of 50 that have had, some influence or have been, highly influential. on me, but I would say, in no particular order, I would say definitely Matt Moneymaker. Interesting personality, but he's a very driven, persistent guy, and I really, you know, saw that initially and was very impressed by it. I'd known who he was previously, and we became good friends over the years. And there's just a lot there, I think, in the persistence category that really, I thank Matt for that and bringing that out in me, helping bring that out in me. And then I would definitely say James Bobo Fay. He's like a brother to me. Definitely, especially in the beginning, and because I've really turned out to be kind of a creature of the night, if you will.
Yeah.
But it wasn't always that way,
Oh, no.
And most of our research is done, at night using technology to try to counter, their nocturnal activities. So I give a lot of credit to Bobo. I don't think, he does a great job on Finding Bigfoot show, Animal Planet, but I really don't think that they showcase really who he is in that regard. He's one of the most fearless, son of a guns I've ever, been associated with. And then I would also include yourself in there. It's been highly influential. That's Ranger Roger Leiterman, for anyone who doesn't know. Since we met, over a dozen years ago, I've learned so much from you, and you've made me so much of a better researcher. And we've accomplished a lot together. I'm very grateful for that.
We have.
Yeah.
Right. How do you handle the frustrations caused by the lack of conclusive evidence?
I think it goes back to, we talked about raising the bar, and I think a lot of it goes back to education. I enjoy going, for instance, and just breaking down a lot of those misperceptions that the public understandably has, because to them it isn't viable. It's not viable, and the burden is on us. And I like doing like Rotary clubs, Kiwanis, that type of thing. They get a lot of boring speakers, so I get called quite frequently, especially locally. So
yeah, I understand that.
Happy to oblige if the schedule, fits. But I think going back and educating and just trying to, of course, raise that bar, with a goal towards species recognition, whatever that looks like, whether it be, DNA or a body. That's what it's going to take.
The last question for you
Okay.
is, outside of Bigfoot field research, what else in your life would people be interested in hearing?
Well, if you're from Canada, you'd be interested. I'm a diehard Blue Jay fan, born and raised. But no, I guess I'm a hell of a cook, according to you guys.
Well, you make good food. I have to admit that.
Yeah, my wife is too. It's been in my blood, and love doing it. And so I make sure you guys eat right when we get out of here. Yeah.
And he does indeed.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You got it.
Well, on behalf of the Bigfoot community, I'd like to thank you very much for your time.
No, anytime. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
All right,
Appreciate
partner.
it.
You
Good
got
job.
it.
Appreciate it.